Hey, it's Johnny Jet. Welcome back to my podcast YouTube channel. Today we have Nomadic Matt. Matt, how you doing?
Doing great, Johnny. Thanks for having me back here. This is like second time.
Yeah, so the first time we did 39 travel questions. Today we're going to talk about your trip to Europe. You just got back. I mean, it seems like you've been gone all summer. Is that true?
Yeah, I left mid-June and I got back 2 days ago. So like 80 days, something like
80
that.
days. That should be the title of your next book, 80 Days in Europe. So
Maybe
how many countries did you go to?
five. I went to Greece, Albania, Montenegro, Croatia, and Slovenia.
So what was it like traveling during COVID? Was it completely different than years past or?
Yeah, I would say it's a lot more subdued. Um, you definitely, as a budget traveler, I tend to stay in a lot of hostels, and so they were definitely a lot quieter than they were.
Cheaper?
No, not cheaper, but quieter. Prices, I definitely didn't notice Europe being cheaper. I think where I went in Europe was still pretty crowded with tourists. Greece was busy,
With
right?
Americans?
More Europeans. But as left Greece, because I spent 5 weeks there were more Americans by the time I left there than when I got there in June. There were a lot of Americans in Croatia, especially in the Split Dubrovnik area. Um, a few, but for the most part, it was mostly Europeans.
And is that a good thing when there's Americans there, or is that a bad thing?
I don't mind Americans; they don't bother me.
I mean,
Uh,
I'm American. I love Americans. Although when I travel internationally, I don't really want to be around a lot of Americans because I want to have a authentic experience.
yeah, I think it's nature for everyone. You travel to escape your countrymen, and so when you're around them, you're like, oh, it's like being back at home. So obviously, like, um, it's cool to meet locals and other travelers that are not Americans, but it wasn't like swamp. Like I didn't feel like I was in New York, with so many people.
And how about when you're going between borders? Are they asking for each country asking for a COVID negative test?
Yeah, it was, Albania didn't care. You didn't need a test. Same with Montenegro,
I'm
or to be
sorry,
back.
they didn't what?
Albania and Montenegro didn't require a PCR test or vaccination.
Okay.
However, Croatia did. So I had to show that at the border. And the same was true for Slovenia. They checked that out, and they also wanted to know where I was staying. Slovenia, in a way, was kind of like Italy, in the sense that to do anything, you were supposed to have your sort of little COVID card.
Your green pass.
Yeah, except I hold on one second, Johnny.
Sure. When people come back from Europe traveling, sometimes they got to blow their nose or cough. That's why I kind of like the masks because, all the times I was flying pre pandemic, one of my biggest pet peeves were having people coughing, sneezing without covering their mouths. I'm like, I used to carry
Yeah,
masks. I've been carrying masks for over a decade.
yeah. This is just because I had some chips right before, and
I'm
so
just
they're a little
messing
stuck
with
in
you.
my throat.
I
Um,
know.
but in Slovenia, you had to check into a hotel or a hostel, proof of COVID vaccination. They even checked in on my free walking tour. They're supposed to in restaurants, but that was not the case. But they did on the train.
They did.
Greece, um, they didn't really look at my forms, but whenever I flew in Greece, they definitely checked out. They wanted to see proof of either negative tests or my vaccine card.
So, with your vaccine card, did you just show your paper card, or
Yeah,
did
I just
or did you,
showed that, and that
or
was
did you
fine.
put it in an app?
No, I just showed the paper card. I carry it with me,
Ca
and then they were just like, "Cool, okay."
Could you have a digital picture of it, or they want the real thing?
Um, I don't know
Okay.
that, but a couple of clubs and islands I went to in Croatia wanted vaccination proof, and that was fine with the photo.
And when you needed to show a COVID negative test, did you get a test in Europe before each
Yeah,
country?
Yeah. So, well,
And we,
being vaccinated, I didn't need to do that. However, um, coming home, I had to get that, and it's actually really easy. There's everywhere you go, the airports, any like major tourist city, there's rapid testing everywhere. It
and how
was never
much?
a problem. Anywhere between 20 euros to 80 euros, depending on if you wanted the rapid test or the PCR.
Yeah, so I mean, to come back into the U.S., you just need a rapid. You don't need the PCR,
Yeah,
which a lot of countries do require a PCR to get into, or not a lot, but some, like Canada, you have to have a
yeah,
PCR test to get in.
yeah. But it's very easy to find COVID testing centers.
And those the antigen tests or the rapid tests, you don't need to stick the thing up your nose. You just spit, right? Or they do, or
Up the
swab.
nose. I mean, the
Oh,
ones they did, they swabbed.
up the nose.
Yeah.
And did it bother you?
I've done so many COVID tests that I'm just used to it now. I mean, like, I feel like it's second nature, and it never gets easier. It's always annoying. You're always like, watery eyes and everything, but it doesn't bother me. And they come back within 15, 20 minutes. Very easy. And they'll print out the form, and it will have your, it will be EU regulations, and they know you need to fly or to go somewhere, so it's all, it says all the information. It's got a QR code, the whole works.
And coming back into America, did they check that, or was it just the airline that was checking it?
The airline checked it. The No one in immigration checked it.
And what'd you fly? American?
Swiss.
Okay. And did you upload it to an app, or did you just show it at the
I
check-in?
have the paper. I have the paper.
Okay.
So
And
they asked me to check in, because I connected from Ljubljana into Zurich and Zurich to Boston, and so on both flights they asked to see the COVID test.
okay.
Um, and then when I landed, I was supposed to have a form that, a test that I was negative, but that was not asked by immigration.
And were the flights packed, and were they strict with masks?
Yeah, Swiss was very strict with masks.
I bet. And was
Um,
it full flight?
yeah,
Okay. Did you,
full flight coming back.
yeah, did you go, upgrade, I hope?
I used points, so I was in business class. So.
That, oh boy, that's a good business class right there.
Yeah, it's a little dated. I was it was the A330. I think their screens are a little too small. I was hoping to pay upgrade to first, but they wanted $2,000, and I was like, nope.
Forget that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't know if I've been on an A330 of Swiss, but I like that.
It's not as new as their 777s,
Right.
um, but it's the same design. The screens are just a little more older.
Gotcha. And how were the Europeans to you? Were they happy to see you, or were they like, "Oh, you're from America, you must have COVID"?
No, no. I mean, they when the discussion came up about it, it was often, how'd your country fuck it up so bad? You know, it was like, how are you doing so good and now not, and then you have to explain lots of things to it. But they were generally happy to see me. I asked a lot of people in tourism how the season was going, and they were glad to have some semblance of the tourist season. Obviously, in that part of Europe, Australian tourists play a big role, because you have the sailing trips, the party boats,
Right.
Greece, all that, and so that all the tour, everyone I spoke to was, like bummed they weren't there because they play such a big role in the tourist percentage there.
So no
But
Aussies. You didn't run into any Aussies.
only the Aussies that were kept out of their country to begin with,
I see.
maybe like three.
So you if someone drugged you for the last 2 years and you woke up in Europe, would you know there was a pandemic going on?
Not in Greece, in Slovenia, yeah.
You would.
Um,
Why?
they signs everywhere. There's stuff about masks. They ask for, before you go on the ferry, you have to fill out all these forms. Same for flights. But if you go into Albania, you would not know,
You
or
wouldn't know.
Montenegro, you would know.
No one's wearing masks
No,
inside.
no mask whatsoever.
Wow.
In Albania, it's like COVID doesn't exist.
And how are they doing in terms of how are their hospitals? Are they full or?
They had a big wave in the winter, but right now they're fine. But I think their numbers started creeping up at the end of the summer. They have a very low vax rate, so it'll be interesting to see, are a lot of people bringing the Delta variant over. But again, most of the travelers that you met in, say that part, were other Europeans who were more likely to, have been vaccinated. You got a lot of, say in Albania on the coast, you got like a lot of Serbians and Bosnians, Romanians, Bulgarians coming to the coastal towns. But in sort of the backpacker trail I was on, it was mostly Western Europeans or Americans. And then
So there were Americans in Albania because,
yeah,
well, a good amount.
Yeah, more than I thought. I met a lot of Americans that had come over during COVID because Albania, never shut their borders, and there was no real lockdown except for in the very beginning. And as an American, you get a 1-year visa there, so a lot of people were just living there.
So would you live there?
Oh yeah, actually, I loved Albania. The Wi-Fi is really good, surprisingly.
That's good.
It's cheap. Locals are friendly. It's a really beautiful country. I cannot speak enough good things about it. I mean, I really, really dug it. I extended my time there.
Yeah, the closest I've ever been is having my cell phone pick up Albanian cell towers when I was sailing right by between Montenegro and I don't know if it was Croatia or going down to Greece from Croatia.
Well, it's a very lovely place. I definitely recommend going.
So, would you tell your friends to go to Europe right now, or would you tell them to wait until the summer?
I'd go right now. I have some friends I have some friends there right now, and it's quiet. Again, as Europeans go back to school, and kids go back to school and work, and Americans do the same thing. It's very quiet right now because again, Australians are not traveling, Kiwis are not traveling. There's no Chinese tour groups. Cruises are, their frequency is very reduced. So it'd be pretty quiet. I mean, you wouldn't want to go if you were not vaccinated because with the changing rules, you could get stuck.
I see. So, what's your best tip to travel to Europe right now?
Be vaccinated. Yeah.
I mean, it seems like that's going to be. I mean, everyone's going to have to be vaccinated sooner or later, most likely.
Right. I mean, if you just take a look, when we went off the safe list, and the Netherlands changed their rule that even vaccinated Americans had to be quarantined. I mean, all those river cruises and stuff that that leave from the Netherlands, they had to bus people to Germany. There was a lot of changing. And it changes. It wasn't like, oh, this is going to happen in 3 weeks. They're like, starting tomorrow, this is gonna, this is now the law.
Yeah, that's why I haven't traveled internationally because I have 2 little kids at home. I just cannot take the chance of being stuck away from them.
Yeah,
and,
I definitely would not go to Europe if you're not vaccinated. I would also recommend having a digital copy of your vaccination card, budgeting more time for airports and such because every person they have to go, okay, now where's your paperwork? Okay, now where's your paperwork? And some people are like, oh, it's somewhere in my bag, right? So lines take longer.
Right.
Just having more patience.
And how was the transfer when you were in the Zurich airport?
Seamless.
Was it?
Yeah, I filled out their passenger locator form, but it wasn't asked. I never left the airport, so they didn't ask to see it.
But you went through security again, I assume, to get back on the flight to the U.S.
Yeah, I cleared customs, and they were like, "Oh, where'd you come in from? Slovenia? Yeah, cool. Okay, bye."
Okay,
very
good.
easy. Yeah, but that I would also say the customs officer next to me was asking a lot more questions of the people coming to her, whereas my person was just in and out, like okay bye. So I think it's very dependent on the officer. Like when I came in from Croatia to Slovenia, I took the train. They pull over. The border guards come on. The Slovenian guy wanted to know where I was staying. He wanted to see proof of my reservation. I had to pull it up on my phone. He asked me about my trip. He was like, "You were just in Montenegro. Why?" So I think there is a lot more. Depending on the border guard that you get, you should be prepared. To have your hotel information. All the documents you think you might need, and maybe then some.
Right. And how about when you arrived into Greece when you came from America? Because you flew from New York or Boston to Athens. What'd you do?
Yeah. So when I landed, they asked to see the passenger locator form, and that was it.
And what,
Delta, I
long
flew up.
wait? Was there a long wait? Border
Yeah,
wait? How
yeah.
long? How long?
Oh, for me, it was like 30 minutes, but we were the only plane there. But they took a while to
It
go through
still took
people.
30 minutes. You were the only plane.
Yeah,
And you were there early. I mean, there's a lot more planes going now than they
yeah,
were back in June.
yeah. They didn't ask to see my COVID vaccination card because Delta did, and so my assumption is that the border officials assume the airlines are checking because
Right.
they have to.
They'll get
So
fined.
yeah, so they're not going through that extra step to save time.
Gotcha. Well, Matt, I appreciate you taking the time. I know I told you 15 minutes and it's been about 18.
It's all right. I can stay here as long as you want, Johnny.
I appreciate that. Did I miss anything? I mean, what else would I?
I mean, I think we're going to Europe right now is there's a lot of forms. I get my friends who went. They're always like, "Does this airline? What do I need for the airlines? What do I need for immigration?" And it's always good to Google right before you go, right?
Yeah,
Because
it's always
um,
changing. Things are
it's
changing.
always changing. And you could say, well, I'm transiting, right? So I don't need anything. But Germany might, have rules for transit passengers. Switzerland had rules. And whether or not they check is really, I don't really know, but you don't want to be caught with your pants down, so to speak, right?
Yeah, no one wants to be caught with their pants down.
Yeah.
Um, what was I going to say? So
Uh,
how about eating? Were there a lot of restaurants? Was it to go only, or was it outdoors,
uh,
indoors, or everything?
well, it was summertime. So Europe has their outdoor dining, but indoor was open too. Limited capacity in Croatia, and you definitely needed reservations. I was surprised, um, just showing up, and they're like, "Nope, we're booked."
For how long? Like a month or?
Oh, like just that night. You definitely
Okay,
wanted to put in for the next day.
okay. Because some places you need to put in a month in advance. Like Hawaii, a
Yeah,
couple months for some restaurants.
yeah. Um, but it was indoor was open.
So was anyone wearing masks outside at any of these countries?
Not really.
Okay, a lot of people smoking.
A lot of people smoking. Oh my God, so much smoke. It's like, I mean, one of the best parts of wearing the mask is just like helps protect against everyone's secondhand smoke. I mean, I going from Greece to Slovenia and the Balkans, are infamous for all the
Right.
cigarette smoke. It's like national pastime. And it was great. I was in Albania and I'm in the bus station. And they have giant no smoking signs everywhere. Everyone's just in the bus station and smoking away.
I mean, I've seen that many times in Italy or Spain. Even in the airport, you'd sometimes see people
Yeah.
smoking. So,
Yeah, so I mean, there was a lot of smoke, but masks were not a thing. On public transportation, buses, ferries, you know, trains, definitely everyone wore a mask. There was,
all the
you know,
countries or just not Albania?
um, in Albania, you should wear a mask,
Okay, but were
but
they?
it wasn't ruled out. No, not really. I was,
And did they look
but
at you like you're from Mars?
yeah, they give me a look, but then nobody would. It was the mask wearing isn't as political where I was as it seems to be in America. Nobody put up a fight. If if you're on the ferry and they come over and they're like, "Hey, put your mask up," people just put their mask up. It
Right.
was there never in the 2.5 months I was there, I never witnessed any sort of
Oh,
disruption over mask wearing.
yeah.
In Montenegro, going inside, you had to wear a mask. Um, they were pretty serious about it. Slovenia was pretty serious about it. Croatia, everyone on the bus always had masks on, and they were very adamant about it in Greece too.
And Swiss, you can't wear a cloth mask, right? Are they one of the airlines that doesn't require, won't allow a cloth? You have to have a medical or surgical or.
According to their rules, but the guy sitting next to me definitely had a cloth mask.
I see.
So,
All right. Well, Matt, where can people find you?
you can find me on social media at Nomadic Matt, as well as my website, nomadicmatt.com.
All right. And I am johnnyjet.com. And please subscribe to this YouTube channel and podcast. And Matt, thank you so much. And I look forward to hearing your next adventures, maybe Asia. Where are you going to go?
I mean, if they ever open up, I was sure that they would open up for this tour season, at least Southeast Asia. But
it's not looking
now that they got that, yeah. If they didn't get that second wave, I think they would have. But now with the Delta variant just sweeping through that part of the world, I just don't see it. I think they're going to stay closed. But I would like to go to South America if Chile and Argentina open up.
Well, Argentina, I don't think so, but Uruguay is opening up.
Yeah, I know Peru is open and Colombia is open. But I want to. Brazil is open, but Brazil has got way too much COVID for me. But I don't know.
All right. And you had, by the way, you were one of the first travel bloggers to have COVID. You got it really early.
Oh, I got it right in the beginning. I got it in New York. Right. I tested positive for it right when they shut everything down on that Friday. And that was the day I was like, I don't feel good. Oh, I got COVID.
And were you worried about getting it again while you were in Europe?
No. Honestly, being vaccinated and having COVID, it's like my booster shot, right? They say, if you get the booster shot, you are like really unlikely to become a breakthrough case. And they said that there were studies that showed that people who had COVID and got the vaccine sort of had an increased immune response. So right. I was never worried. I mean, I wear my mask because it also really helps with allergies. And even before COVID, I was religious about always keeping clean. So
good.
I was not worried. Plus, everything. It's the summertime. You're outdoors. I was at the beach. I'm on the Greek islands. Like I'm hiking. There wasn't a lot of places I went where it was ever crowded. And a ferry, but everyone's wearing masks. And it gives you a lot of confidence because they're only letting in people who are either vaccinated not Albania or Montenegro, but the other countries are letting in people who are vaccinated or have tested negative. So already that reduces the likelihood of risk.
Right. And how about in the hostels? Were there a lot of Americans in the hostels too? And is everyone just on their phone? Is there any social life anymore in hostels? Because in the old days, that's where you could meet people. But I think with free FaceTime, it's difficult.
Yeah, I always say you should put down your damn phone, and that was a problem pre-COVID too. People just being on their computer. Right. But no, I would say hostels was like 50-50 Americans, Europeans, but there was an active social life. People were, looking to get out and meet people. I would say it was, up in Slovenia and. In Zagreb, and outside of sort of, the Greek islands and, Dubrovnik and Split, and Kotor and all these sort of party places that are really social, it was fairly quiet.
And in the hostels, are they mostly really young or are there some older folks?
Older folks too. Yeah. I saw a family in this hostel in Slovenia. A lot of these hostels are running at, half capacity, and so they're really quiet.
Okay.
I think in this one hostel in Zagreb, I stayed at 4 nights. I saw 2 other guests. And I think some nights I was the only guest.
And when did you have your own room or you were in a room with other people?
I'm in my own room. Yeah.
Private bath too?
Shared bath.
And how much would that cost?
On average, between 25 to 50 euros a night.
Okay. You gotta like it. You gotta like it a lot.
I stayed in, In Albania, the hostels were pretty packed, like really full. Uh, Same in Greece, and same even in Split and Dubrovnik, were very full. But it was when you got to the less beachy, less you know
Tourist
I know
spots.
Zagreb doesn't see a lot of tourists to begin with, and um, in comparison to say Paris, so it's pretty quiet.
And are you making the reservations in advance and online? How are you doing it?
In advance online, usually by a couple of days.
Which website do you use?
For hostels, I use Hostel World.
Hostel World.
Uh,
Okay.
but I found Booking.com had the best availability for like small B&Bs as well as like budget hotels. Hotels.com wasn't so great. They didn't show a lot of options,
Okay.
but Booking.com did. And um, yeah, I use mostly Booking or Hostel World.
And you feel safe leaving your computer and belongings in your room, or what do you do?
Yeah, do you feel safe at a hotel doing it?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
I,
so why
I
why
haven't stayed in a hostel in a long time.
the hostel private rooms you can lock the door.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Good. I'm happy to hear
they
that.
invented these things called locks and hostel
You know what?
keys.
I never even heard of such a thing.
Yeah. But you'd be surprised even in dorm rooms people leave their computers around because if you're staying in a small hostel of 15, 20 beds, right? And everyone kind of knows everyone, and there's a lot of people working from the road, so you know
They'll
there's
leave
not.
their computers in the room.
Yeah, there's not a lot of theft that happens in hostels. This idea that hostels, people steal in hostels is greatly overblown.
Is it?
You know, like it's very rare someone's going to steal. Think of it, right? You're in a dorm room. There's four other people there. You leave your stuff. You need a key card to get into the room.
Okay.
You shut the door. Your computer is there. Come back, your computer's gone. There's four people that took it. One of four people took it.
Right. And
Uh,
go ahead. Sorry.
and and a lot of hostels, they have security cameras. So they'll, if they see someone in the hallway carrying your computer, they're gonna be like, okay.
Okay. Good. And speaking of hostels, you still own one in Austin?
No, that we shut that down when COVID started, and we're just selling the building now.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Okay.
my business partner moved to California, and we were
Well,
gonna.
someone from Texas moved to California. That's breaking news. I thought it
I
was the
know,
other way
right?
around.
Yeah, right. He's reverse migrating,
Good to hear.
um, and so yeah, we just didn't want to, we, if we had to put, we were small to begin with, so if we had to run at half capacity, it wasn't going to make any money, and it wasn't worth the effort.
Gotcha. Well, sorry, never got to check it out, but you know what? One day you'll get
I
another one, I'm
mean,
sure.
we had a private room too. You could stay
You
in
see
the
that?
door.
I
The
would have
door
left my
locked.
computer in there.
It even had its own private bathroom.
I mean, that's golden. I had that once in Paris, and I was like, wow. Anyway,
Well, there are some really nice hostels out there, Johnny.
tell me the best hostel in the world.
I don't think there's one great hostel.
What's your favorite one?
Um, I like one that I really like. I'd say um, Francesco's in Ios, Greece.
Okay, Francesco's. How much is that a night?
35.
Private room,
Private room,
private bath.
private bath.
Gotta love it. Matt, thank you so much. Hopefully, we'll do another segment sometime just about hostels.
Hey, yeah, I will happily educate you about theft and locks, and hostel dorms have lockers where you can lock your stuff in.
Right. Good. I'm glad to hear
Crazy.
this. I'm really good. All right, buddy.
All right,
Thank
man.
you.
Thanks for having me on.
See ya.
See you later.